AI, it's a lot more than just a buzzword. Your source material here really nails it. Defines AI as the attempt to simulate human intelligence in machines. But the key takeaway is that this isn't sci-fi anymore. AI is already changing pretty much every industry as we speak.
So not robot builders quite yet, but we are talking about machines that can do things that used to require humans.
Exactly. And that's a pretty big deal. AI is great at things that would take us humans forever, like analyzing mountains of data, spotting patterns we might miss, even making tough decisions based on all that data. So AI is taking over all that heavy lifting.
Leaving us free to do, hopefully more creative and interesting work.
That's the idea.
So if AI is all about simulating human intelligence, how do we actually get machines to learn? Is that where this machine learning comes in? I'm guessing it's more complicated than just telling a computer to be smart.
You're right. It's definitely not that simple. Machine learning, or ML for short, is a core part of AI. It's where machines learn from data without needing specific programming for every single step. So
Yeah.
instead of hard coding rules, we feed these algorithms data, and they actually figure out the patterns and relationships on their own.
Okay, so it's less like writing a step-by-step instruction manual
Hmm.
and more like giving the machine a set of tools and letting it build something awesome.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And there are a bunch of different approaches to machine learning, each with its own strength. Like one is called supervised learning, where we give the machine labeled data, so both the input and the desired output. Kind of like teaching a kid to recognize different fruits by showing them labeled pictures of apples, oranges, and bananas.
So with enough labeled examples, the machine starts to figure out what makes an apple different from an orange.
Exactly. Then we have unsupervised learning, where the machine gets data without any labels. And its job is to sift through it all, find meaningful patterns, and group similar things together. Imagine you're given a basket of fruit without any labels, and you have to sort them based on how they look. That's unsupervised learning.
Interesting. So instead of being told what to look for, the machine basically becomes a detective,
Huh.
uncovering hidden patterns and structures in the data.
Exactly. Then there's reinforcement learning, where the machine learns through trial and error. So we set up a system of rewards and penalties, and the machine experiments to figure out which actions lead to the most rewards.
So it's like training a dog. Good behavior gets a treat. Bad behavior gets a timeout.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a self-driving car learning to navigate a city. Staying on the road earns points, hitting a pedestrian, well, that's a big penalty.
Right.
So these three types of machine learning, they're like the foundation of how most AI systems are built and trained today. But within this whole world of machine learning, there's an even more powerful and complex area, deep learning.
Ah, yes, deep learning. Sounds kind of intimidating, like diving into the deep end of the AI pool,
Well, maybe a little.
but I'm ready.
Yeah.
What makes deep learning so special?
Well, deep learning actually takes inspiration from how the human brain is structured, specifically all those interconnected networks of neurons. So instead of processing information in a simple linear way, deep learning models use multiple layers of analysis to understand complex data. Imagine trying to appreciate a painting by just looking at individual brushstrokes versus seeing the whole composition and how all the elements work together. That's kind of the power of deep learning.
So those neural networks we hear about
Mm-hmm.
are basically the engine behind deep learning.
Mm.
And the more layers, the deeper the learning.
Yeah, you got it. These neural networks are made up of interconnected nodes, just like the neurons in our brains. And by stacking multiple layers of these nodes, deep learning models can pick up on incredibly intricate patterns and relationships in data. This is what allows them to do things like power self-driving cars, translate languages in real time, and even compose original music.
That's wild. So your source material mentions that. AI is already having a huge impact on our lives, even if we don't always realize it.
Oh, for sure. Think about all those personalized recommendations you get on Netflix or Spotify. That's AI working behind the scenes, analyzing your viewing habits to suggest stuff you might enjoy. Or consider those smart assistants like Siri and Alexa, who can answer questions, set reminders, even control your smart home devices. They're powered by AI algorithms that can understand and respond to natural language.
Wait a minute. So those aren't just super organized personal assistants living on my phone. I'm kind of disappointed now. But seriously, it's amazing how seamlessly AI is built into all these everyday technologies.
It really is. AI is changing how we interact with the world around us so fast, making things more convenient, more personalized, and just more efficient. And the impact goes way beyond just entertainment and convenience. AI is transforming entire industries. It really is. And it's not just about making things easier for us. Your source material highlighted how AI is revolutionizing some pretty serious industries too, like healthcare, finance, and even retail.
Let's dig into those. Where are we seeing AI make the biggest waves?
Well, the potential applications of AI are pretty much limitless, but let's focus on a few key areas. In healthcare, AI is being used to analyze medical images like X-rays and MRIs to help doctors catch diseases earlier and more accurately. We're also seeing AI systems that can analyze a patient's medical history and their genetic information to develop personalized treatment plans.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like having a whole team of expert consultants working alongside doctors to provide the best possible care.
Exactly. It's not about replacing doctors, but giving them the tools and insights to make even better decisions. Then in finance, AI is being deployed to fight fraud by analyzing millions of transactions in real time to catch any suspicious activity. These AI algorithms can spot patterns and anomalies that would be almost impossible for humans to detect, protecting businesses and consumers from losing money.
It's like having an AI bodyguard for your bank account. What about retail? How's AI changing the way we shop?
Well, AI is playing a big role in personalizing the shopping experience by looking at your past purchases, browsing history, even your social media activity. AI algorithms can figure out what you're likely to buy before you even know it yourself.
So that explains all those ads for shoes I was just looking at online. It's a little creepy how well these algorithms seem to know us.
Yeah, they can be surprisingly accurate.
But it all comes back to data, right? We've talked about how AI learns from data, but your source material really stresses how important data quality is.
You're absolutely right. Data is like the fuel that powers AI. The quality of the data we feed these algorithms directly affects how well they perform. Imagine trying to teach a kid to speak using a book full of typos and bad grammar. They wouldn't learn to speak properly, would they?
No, they wouldn't.
It's the same with AI.
So garbage in, garbage out. But your source also mentioned this idea of data bias, which sounds like it could be a problem.
Yeah, it can be a big problem if the data used to train an AI system is biased. The system will learn and repeat those biases. For example, a facial recognition system trained on a dataset that mostly includes people with lighter skin tones might have trouble recognizing people with darker skin
Oh,
tones.
wow.
And that could lead to misidentifications and even discrimination.
That's a serious issue. It really highlights how important it is to make sure that the data used to train AI systems is diverse and represents the people they'll be used on.
Exactly. We need to be really careful about potential biases in data and make sure AI systems are developed and used responsibly and ethically. But data quality is just one of the hurdles AI faces. There's also this whole issue of interpretability. Your source talked about that too.
Interpretability. What does that mean when it comes to AI?
Well, as AI systems become more complex, especially those deep learning models we talked about, it gets harder to understand exactly how they make their decisions. We see the input and the output, but what happens in between can be a bit of a mystery.
So the AI gives us an answer, but we don't necessarily know how it got there. That's kind of unsettling when you think about it.
I know. Especially in fields like healthcare or finance, where AI systems are making decisions that affect people's lives, interpretability is crucial. We need to be able to understand the reasoning behind these decisions, not just blindly trust the AI.
So it's not enough for AI to be smart. It also needs to be transparent. We need to be able to peek inside that black box and see how it's thinking.
Exactly. Transparency is key to building trust and making sure AI systems are used responsibly and ethically. And let's not forget about the computing power. You need a ton of it to train these increasingly complex AI systems. It can be a real barrier for smaller organizations or researchers who don't have access to tons of computing resources.
So even with the best data and the smartest algorithms, you still need the horsepower to train them effectively. Sounds like AI development isn't for the faint of heart. But looking back at everything we've covered, what's the biggest thing that stands out to you about AI?
I think it's the incredible potential of AI to tackle some of the biggest problems facing humanity, whether it's developing new medical treatments, combating climate change, or improving education. AI has the power to make a real difference in the world.
It's true. AI has so much potential for good. And what really struck me is how much AI is already woven into our lives, even if we don't always think about it. From the shows Netflix recommends to the way we interact with our phones, AI is quietly shaping our experiences.
Yeah, it's everywhere. AI isn't some far-off futuristic thing anymore. It's here now. And it's changing the world around us faster than most people realize. And it really makes you think about the future, doesn't it?
It does. How AI will shape it all.
It raises some big questions, too.
Like what?
Well, how do we make sure AI is developed and used responsibly? We've talked about some of the challenges like data bias and interpretability. But there's also the bigger ethical stuff to consider.
Like what kinds of things?
Well, things like job displacement. As AI starts automating more and more tasks, Then there's algorithmic fairness, making sure AI systems don't just make existing inequalities worse. And we have to think about the potential for AI to be used for bad stuff, too.
Those are some pretty heavy questions,
Mhm.
but definitely ones we need to be thinking about now, especially as AI gets more powerful and more common.
Absolutely. This is a conversation that everyone needs to be a part of, not just scientists and engineers, but also policymakers, ethicists, and regular people, too.
It's like we're all writing the next chapter of the AI story together,
Yeah.
and we need to make sure it's a good one.
Exactly. Like with any powerful technology, it's up to us to use it wisely to make things better for everyone.
I like that. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive into AI, from the basics of machine learning to the crazy potential of deep learning and all the ethical challenges that come with it.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
And I hope everyone listening has a better understanding of this whole AI thing now.
Yeah, it's complicated stuff, but it's super fascinating too.
Definitely.
And we've only scratched the surface, really. There's so much more to explore and learn.
Oh, yeah, for sure. AI is always changing and evolving. There are new breakthroughs happening all the time.
So before we wrap up, what's the one big takeaway you want listeners to remember from this deep dive?
I'd say the most important thing is that AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's
Yeah.
up to us to use it responsibly and ethically to build a better future for everyone.
Well said. Couldn't have said it better myself. So that's it for this deep dive on AI. Until next time, deep divers, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those great questions coming.